The darkness of space erupted with light as the first Hexan warships tore through the fabric of reality. One by one they appeared, massive obsidian arrowheads glinting in the sun's rays. Admiral Victor Reyes watched from Orbital Defense Station Artemis as the alien armada materialized near Jupiter's orbit. His weathered hands gripped the railing of the observation deck, knuckles white with tension. "How many?" he asked, voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Lieutenant Diane Morgan swiped through holographic displays, her face bathed in red warning lights. 3,000 vessels and counting, sir. Largest is approximately 12 kilometers in length. They're arranging into attack formation. Reyes nodded grimly. Humanity had suspected they weren't alone in the galaxy, but first contact was happening in the worst possible way. The United Earth Defense Force had prepared for this scenario, but theory and practice were worlds apart. "Are they responding to hails?" he asked. Communications Officer Rivera shook his head. "Nothing on standard frequencies, sir. Wait, incoming transmission. They're broadcasting on all channels." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a towering figure with iridescent scales covering its elongated skull. 4 yellow eyes blinked independently as it regarded the camera. "Humans of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice carrying a metallic undertone. "I am Grand Admiral Krell of the Hexan Imperial Armada, representing the galactic hegemony. Your planet has been deemed a strategic necessity for our expansion. Surrender your world and be assimilated into our workforce or face immediate extinction." The transmission cut abruptly. Silence engulfed the command center. "Sir," Lieutenant Morgan whispered, "they've deployed smaller craft. Analysis suggests they're heading for major population centers." On the tactical display, hundreds of dropships detached from the larger vessels, their trajectories aimed directly at Earth's surface. Reyes' jaw tightened as he accessed his neural implant, connecting directly to United Earth Command. "This is Admiral Reyes. Initiate protocol Midnight Sun. Authorization Reyes Delta 709. A soft chime confirmed his order. "Sir?" Morgan questioned, eyes wide. Reyes turned to his crew, determination etched across his features. "The Hexans believe they've caught us unprepared. They have no idea what humanity has hidden in the shadows." He tapped his console. "All stations, battle stations, and get me Director Novak at Charon Base." As the alien dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere, something remarkable happened. Beneath the ice of Pluto's moon Charon, ancient doors ground open for the first time since they were sealed 15 years ago. From the darkness emerged sleek predatory vessels, humanity's secret fleet, built in anticipation of this very day. Deep within Charon Base, Director Ilara Novak stood before an enormous wall of screens, each displaying different sectors of the solar system. A small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes to match, she had dedicated her life to preparing Earth for this inevitable confrontation. "Status of the Phantom Fleet?" she demanded. Fleet Commander Javier Torres responded immediately. "All vessels operational. Crew at ready stations. Cloaking systems engaged." Novak nodded sharply. "Commence Operation Shadow Strike. Deploy according to Protocol 7. Across the solar system, hidden installations activated. Beneath Mars' polar ice caps, inside hollowed-out asteroids within Saturn's rings, doors opened and engines ignited. Earth's secret armada, the product of 3 decades of reverse-engineered alien technology, moved into position. Aboard the Hexan flagship Inevitable Conquest, Grand Admiral Krell reviewed initial invasion reports with satisfaction. His intelligence had indicated Earth possessed only rudimentary orbital defenses and atmospheric fighters, nothing that could threaten an Imperial invasion force. First-wave dropships report minimal resistance, Sub-Admiral Vex reported. Human military installations are attempting conventional countermeasures. Ineffective. Krell's mandibles clicked in amusement. As expected, the conquest will be complete within 1 planetary rotation. Prepare the second wave. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Tactical displays flashed with new signatures appearing throughout the solar system. "Impossible," Krell hissed. "Where did these vessels come from?" On the main view screen, sleek black ships emerged from hiding places throughout the system, their designs unlike anything in known human records. They moved with impossible speed and precision, their formation tightening around the Hexan invasion force. Vex studied the readings with growing alarm. "The human vessels are deploying unknown energy signatures. Our shields are not calibrated for... A blinding flash interrupted him as 3 Hexan heavy cruisers simply vanished, their matter converted to energy by the human fleet's primary weapon, the quantum destabilizer. Aboard the UES Nemesis, the flagship of Earth's hidden fleet, Director Novak received Admiral Reyes, who had transferred from the defense station via emergency shuttle. 15 years of preparation, Reyes said, gazing at the tactical display. I almost didn't believe it would work. Believe it, Novak replied. Forward batteries, continuous fire. Deploy swarm drones. Target their command ships first. Across the solar system, humanity's defenders executed a battle plan decades in the making. From the massive capital ships to the nimble fighter squadrons, each played their role in a deadly symphony of precise destruction. The Hexan, for all their technological superiority, had fatally underestimated their opponent. They had expected to find primitive beings cowering before their might. Instead, they found a species that had been forged in the fires of thousands of years of warfare against themselves, humans who had taken the lessons of their bloody history and applied them to space, combat with terrifying efficiency. As the battle reached its peak, the inevitable conquest found itself surrounded by 5 human destroyers, their weapons trained on its vital systems. Surrender your vessel, came the transmission from Admiral Reyes, or be destroyed. Krell's rage was palpable as he paced the bridge. This is impossible. Their technology is beyond their development stage. They must have had help. As if in answer to his accusation, a new alert sounded. Throughout the solar system, massive rifts in space-time opened, disgorging elegant vessels of clearly alien design. The Galactic Council, Vex breathed in disbelief. They have violated the non-intervention pact. Krell watched in mounting horror as the Council ships positioned themselves alongside the human fleet, their weapon systems targeting the Hexan Armada. Aboard the Nemesis, a holographic figure materialized, a being composed of swirling light patterns approximating a humanoid form. People of Earth, it spoke, its voice resonating directly in the minds of all who heard it. I am Ambassador Tulra of the Galactic Council. What you have accomplished in mere minutes of combat has never been achieved by any other race. The Council needs your military expertise. Novak stepped forward. And in return, full membership in the Galactic Council, access to technologies beyond your imagination, and immediate reinforcements to this battle. As the ship shuddered under enemy fire, Admiral Reyes turned to Novak. Director, our tactical advantage won't last forever. The Hexan are adapting to our weapons. On the tactical display, red indicators multiplied as a second wave of Hexan vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel. Novak made her decision. Ambassador Tulra, we accept your offer. Send your reinforcements. They are already here, Tulra replied. The battle was about to enter a new phase, one that would forever change humanity's place in the galaxy. The combined firepower of Earth's hidden fleet and the Council vessels tore through the Hexan, formation like lightning through storm clouds. What had begun as an invasion was rapidly becoming a rout. Grand Admiral Krell roared in frustration as another destroyer erupted into flames under concentrated fire from 3 human cruisers. How is this possible? He demanded, slamming his armored fist against a tactical display. Their vessels should be primitive, their weapons inadequate. Sub-Admiral Vex studied the battle data streaming across his console, mandibles clicking nervously. The human ships are employing technology that appears to be precursor-derived. Admiral Krell froze. The precursors, an ancient species whose artifacts were scattered throughout the galaxy, had vanished 50,000 years ago, leaving behind technology that even the most advanced Council races struggled to comprehend. Impossible, he whispered. No primitive species could decipher precursor technology, yet the evidence was undeniable. The quantum destabilizers, the shield technology that somehow converted incoming energy weapons into power for their own systems. The microscopic swarm drones that were now infiltrating Hexan vessels and dismantling them from within. On the bridge of the UES Nemesis, Director Novak and Admiral Reyes coordinated humanity's counterattack with ruthless efficiency. The neural implants that connected Earth's military commanders allowed them to share tactical data and make decisions at speeds no alien force had anticipated. Phantom Squadron, execute flanking maneuver Delta, Reyes ordered. Valkyrie Group, maintain pressure on their capital ships. Across the view screen, human fighters swarmed around the massive Hexan warships like angry hornets, their precision strikes targeting shield generators and weapons arrays with surgical precision. Ambassador Tulra's luminous form observed the battle with growing astonishment. Your military coordination exceeds anything in Council records. How long has your species been preparing for this conflict? Director Novak's eyes never left the tactical display, since the Roswell incident in 1947. When we recovered technology from a crashed scout ship, we realized we weren't alone. Every major power on Earth began preparing, separately at first, then together after the Global Defense Accord of 2034. And the precursor technology? Tulra pressed. A thin smile crossed Novak's face. Antarctica, 2041. A research team drilling through the ice found something that had been buried for 50,000 years. We've spent the last decade learning how to use what we discovered. Reyes interrupted, his expression grim. Director, we have a problem. The Hexan flagship is preparing to deploy a gravitational singularity weapon. Analysis suggests it could collapse space in a 10-kilometer radius. Target coordinates? Novak demanded. New York City. Silence fell across the bridge. The Hexan were escalating beyond conventional warfare to planetary destruction. Can we intercept? Novak asked. Fleet Commander Torres shook his head. The weapon is already charging. Our vessels can't penetrate their defensive screen in time. Ambassador Tulra stepped forward, light patterns swirling more rapidly. There is a solution. The Council vessel Eternal Harmony possesses a temporal displacement field. It cannot prevent the weapon's discharge, but it can redirect its effects. Where? Reyes demanded. Back upon itself, Tulra replied. Novak didn't hesitate. Do it. Across the battlefield, the elegant Council flagship moved into position between Earth and the Hexan vessel. As the singularity weapon discharged, a sphere of absolute darkness that consumed light itself, the Eternal Harmony activated its displacement field. For a moment, reality seemed to bend. Then the singularity reversed course, engulfing the Hexan flagship in an implosion of matter and energy. Where the massive vessel had been, only scattered debris remained. Throughout the Hexan fleet, the destruction of their flagship sent shockwaves of confusion and dismay. Without Grand Admiral Krell's central command, their coordinated attack disintegrated into individual actions easily countered by the Human Council alliance. Aboard a surviving Hexan cruiser, Sub-Admiral Vex assumed emergency command. All vessels execute emergency withdrawal. Return to Rally Point Epsilon. As the Hexan fleet began a chaotic retreat, broken and decimated, Admiral Reyes turned to Director Novak. Should we pursue? Novak considered the question carefully. No. Let them carry word back to their empire. Let them understand what happens when they threaten Earth. Ambassador Tulra's light form dimmed slightly in what might have been relief. A wise decision, Director. The Council does not seek the destruction of the Hexan, merely the containment of their aggression. As the last enemy vessels disappeared into faster-than-light jumps, cheers erupted throughout the human fleet. On Earth's surface, populations that had been bracing for invasion watched as the threat receded. Celebration replaced terror. But in the command center of the Nemesis, Novak and Reyes knew this was only the beginning. They'll return, Reyes said quietly, and in greater numbers. Novak nodded. And we'll be ready. She turned to Ambassador Tulra. Your offer of Council membership, I assume it comes with responsibilities as well as benefits? The ambassador's form brightened. Indeed. The Hexan Empire has conquered 17 worlds in the last solar cycle alone. The Council races are diplomats and scholars, not warriors. What your species has demonstrated today, this combination of technological
innovation and military strategy, is precisely
what the galactic community needs to restore balance. You want us to fight your wars? Reyes observed bluntly. We want you to help preserve peace, Tulra corrected. The Council consists of 217 species across 3 galactic arms. Most have known peace for millennia. They have forgotten how to defend themselves. Novak exchanged glances with Reyes. And what would this alliance entail exactly? Full membership in the Galactic Council, unrestricted access to Council technology and knowledge bases, and yes, human military expertise to train and lead Council defense forces against Hexan expansion. Before they could respond, Communications Officer Rivera interrupted. Director, we're receiving a transmission from the Hexen High Command. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing an enormous Hexen, ancient and scarred, its armor plates bearing symbols of rank unknown to human intelligence. I am Supreme Commander Vortash of the Hexen Empire, the creature intoned, its voice deeper and more menacing than Krell's had been. The attack on your world was unauthorized. Grand Admiral Krell exceeded his mandate. Novak stepped forward, skepticism evident in her stance. Are you claiming this invasion was a rogue action? The Supreme Commander's four eyes blinked in sequence. The Empire had designated your system for observation, not conquest. Krell's enthusiasm has been a recurring problem. Nevertheless, his destruction represents a significant loss to our military hierarchy. What do you want? Novak asked directly. To offer terms. The Empire acknowledges humanity's defensive capabilities. We propose a non-aggression pact. Your system will be removed from our expansion protocols. In exchange, you will not align with Council forces against us. Ambassador Tulra moved closer to Novak, voice dropping to a whisper that only she could hear. They fear you. This is unprecedented in Hexen diplomatic history. Novak's expression remained impassive. We'll consider your proposal, Supreme Commander. But be aware. Any further aggression against Earth or human colonies will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Do you believe them? Reyes asked. Novak shook her head. Not for a moment. This is a delaying tactic. They need time to analyze our capabilities and develop countermeasures. She turned to Tulra. Ambassador, I believe we have much to discuss regarding that council membership. As the human fleet regrouped and damage reports came in, Earth stood at a crossroads. No longer alone in the galaxy, humanity now faced both unprecedented threats and extraordinary opportunities. The Phantom Fleet, humanity's secret shield, had turned the tide in seconds against an overwhelming force. But the greater war was just beginning. 3 days after the failed Hexen invasion, Earth's orbital space buzzed with unprecedented activity. Council diplomatic vessels arrived hourly, their exotic designs capturing the imagination of humanity. On the surface, governments struggled to maintain order amid the revelation that not only were humans not alone in the universe, but they had just fought and won their first interstellar battle. Aboard the Council diplomatic vessel Concordance, Director Novak and Admiral Reyes sat across from representatives of 17 different species. The Council chamber was designed to accommodate wildly different physiologies, from the crystalline structures of the Letharians to the gaseous forms of the nebulae contained in specialized environment suits. At the center of the gathering, Ambassador Tulra's luminous form presided over the proceedings. The emergency session of the Galactic Council's Defense Committee is now in session. We are here to formalize Earth's provisional membership and establish the parameters of our military alliance. A large insectoid being chittered something that the translation matrix rendered as, I must object to the unprecedented nature of these proceedings. No species has ever been granted even provisional status without centuries of observation. No species has ever destroyed a third of a Hexen invasion fleet in their first space battle. Counselor Vrex, Tulra countered smoothly. Director Novak leaned forward. With respect, we didn't come here to debate our worthiness. Earth remains in danger. If the Hexen return in greater force, they will, interrupted a small rodent-like being with 6 eyes. I am Admiral Pazrin of the Merethi Confederation. Our intelligence suggests the Hexen High Command has recalled 5 battle groups from the Cygnus Arm. They are preparing a response to their humiliation. Admiral Reyes studied the star charts projected above the conference table. How long do we have? 2 standard weeks, perhaps 3, Pazrin replied. But there is another matter of grave concern. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual energy signatures near the Perseus transit. A ripple of unease passed through the gathered representatives. Novak noticed the reaction but kept her expression neutral. What's the Perseus transit? Tulra's light patterns shifted to a deeper blue. An ancient spatial anomaly that serves as a gateway between our galaxy and another. It has been dormant for millennia. Until now, Pazrin added grimly. The reading suggests something is coming through. Reyes and Novak exchanged glances. Something worse than the Hexen? Reyes asked. None of the council members would meet their gaze, which was answer enough. The meeting continued for hours as strategic information was exchanged. The Council provided star charts showing Hexan territory and force deployments. In return, Novak authorized the sharing of Earth's military doctrine and tactical analyses. As the session concluded, Tulra approached the humans privately. "There is something I must show you, something few outside the inner council have seen." The ambassador led them to a secure chamber deep within the concordance. As the doors sealed behind them, a holographic display activated, showing a spiral galaxy, the Milky Way, with thousands of points of light scattered throughout. "These lights represent civilizations," Tulra explained. "Some council members, some independent, some under Hexan control." Novak studied the display. "There are so many, indeed. But now observe." Tulra gestured and the image changed. Nearly a third of the lights winked out, leaving darkness in their place. This was the galaxy 50,000 years ago after what we call the severance. "What happened to those civilizations?" Reyes asked. "They were extinguished. By what came through the Perseus transit." The hologram shifted again, showing an enormous vessel, if it could be called that. More like a mechanical planet with geometries that hurt the human eye to follow. "The harvesters," Tulra said quietly. "They appear every 50,000 years to collect. Entire species disappear. Planets are stripped of all technology and resources, and then they return to whatever dark place spawned them." Novak's voice was steady despite the horror of what she was hearing. "And you believe they're returning now?" "The cycle aligns. The energy signatures match historical records." "Yes, Director Novak, we believe the harvesters are awakening." "Why tell us this now?" Reyes demanded. "If these things are so devastating." "Because in all of Council history, no species has demonstrated your particular combination of technological innovation and martial skill," Tulra interrupted. "The Council races are old, Admiral. We have forgotten how to fight. Some of us have evolved beyond the capacity for violence entirely. But humans haven't," Novak concluded. "No, you have not, and that may save us all." Back aboard the Nemesis, Novak convened an emergency meeting with Earth's unified military command. Leaders from every nation's armed forces gathered virtually, their holograms arranged around the briefing table. "The situation is more complex than we initially understood," Novak began. "We face not one threat but two. The Hexan Empire seeks conquest, but something called the Harvester seeks extinction." She shared the Council's information, watching as the military leaders absorbed the implications. General Martinez of the Pan-American Alliance was the first to speak. "Director, with respect, this sounds like a convenient narrative. The Council seeks our military expertise against the Hexan, so they invent a greater threat to secure our cooperation." Admiral Reyes shook his head. The fear among the Council representatives was genuine. "Whatever these harvesters are, the Council species are terrified of them." "Which leaves us where exactly?" asked Field Marshal Iwamoto of the Pacific Coalition. Novak stood, activating a tactical display. "We continue preparations to defend Earth against the Hexan counterattack. But we also begin training Council defense forces in our military doctrine, and we dispatch reconnaissance vessels to the Perseus transit to verify the Council's claims." "With what ships?" General Lee of the Eurasian Federation asked. "Our fleet took significant damage repelling the initial invasion. The Council has provided coordinates for something they call the Forge," Novak replied. "A precursor manufacturing facility hidden in the Oort cloud. They claim it can repair our vessels and produce new ones at an accelerated rate." Skepticism was evident on every face in the holographic gathering. Novak couldn't blame them. After decades of secrecy and preparation, humanity was now being asked to trust alien civilizations they'd only just met. "I understand your concerns," she said. "But consider this. If the Hexan had succeeded, Earth would now be under their control." The Council intervened. "Whatever their motives, they have demonstrated they're willing to stand with us against common threats." The discussion continued for hours, but eventually consensus was reached. Earth would proceed with caution, but commitment to the alliance. Preparations would begin immediately for both the expected Hexan counterattack and the potential emergence of the harvesters. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Reyes remained behind with Novak. "You believe it?" he asked. "These harvester things?" Novak studied the tactical display, now showing the Perseus transit location relative to Earth. "I believe the Council is genuinely afraid. And I believe something is coming through that gateway. Beyond that, she shrugged. We've spent decades preparing for alien contact, Victor. We just never imagined we'd be thrown into a galactic war within days of making it. Reyes nodded grimly. The Antarctic facility. Do we share that technology with the Council? Not yet, Novak decided. The Spear of Dawn remains our ace. If the Council's intentions prove less than honorable, or if these harvesters are as devastating as claimed, we may need it. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Morgan's voice came over the comm. Director Admiral, multiple FTL signatures detected entering the system. Configuration unknown. Not Hexen, not Council. Novak and Reyes exchanged glances before rushing to the bridge. On the main view screen, strange vessels appeared one by one near Jupiter's orbit. Unlike the angular Hexen ships or the elegant Council vessels, these were organic in appearance, like massive sea creatures swimming through space. Identification? Novak demanded. Nothing in our database, Morgan replied. Nothing in the Council records either. As they watched, the lead vessel transmitted a signal. Not a communication, but a complex data packet that overwhelmed the Nemesis's computer systems momentarily. When the screens cleared, a single message appeared. Harvesters approach. Alliance offered. Decision required. The new arrivals, it seemed, had their own agenda in the coming conflict. Humanity's first week among the stars was proving to be more complicated by the hour. The organic ships hovered near Jupiter's orbit, their strange biomechanical forms pulsing with internal lights. Earth's defense fleet maintained a defensive perimeter, weapons charged but not targeting. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Director Novak and Admiral Reyes faced a critical decision. Any response from the Council about these new arrivals? Novak asked. Communications Officer Rivera shook his head. Ambassador Tulra is requesting an emergency meeting. They seem disturbed by the newcomers. That's not reassuring, Reyes muttered. The main view screen displayed the mysterious message again. Harvesters approach, alliance offered, decision required. Open a channel, Novak ordered. Let's hear what they have to say. The screen shifted, revealing a being unlike any they had encountered. Its form was vaguely humanoid but composed of what appeared to be liquid metal, constantly flowing and reshaping itself. When it spoke, its voice resonated with harmonics that seemed to bypass the ears and vibrate directly in the mind. Humans of Earth, we are the Voidborn. We observe. We preserve. We remember, Novak stepped forward. I am Director Alara Novak of Earth. Why have you come to our system? The liquid metal face rippled. The cycle begins again. The harvesters awaken. We have watched this pattern repeat for millions of years across hundreds of galaxies. We offer knowledge, protection, partnership. The Council mentioned these harvesters, Reyes interjected. They claim they appear every 50,000 years. The Council knows only fragments of truth, the Voidborn replied. The Council races are young. We are old. We have witnessed 17 cycles in this galaxy alone. Novak's expression remained carefully neutral. And what exactly is your proposal? We will share defensive technologies the Council does not possess. In exchange, when the harvesters come, you will help us preserve what can be saved. Before Novak could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Morgan's voice was tense. Director, multiple FTL signatures detected. Hexen configuration. It's a massive fleet, at least 10,000 vessels. They weren't supposed to have regrouped so quickly, Reyes said grimly. On the tactical display, the incoming Hexen Armada dwarfed the previous invasion force. Leading the formation was a vessel twice the size of any they had faced before. The Hexen Emperor's personal dreadnought, the inevitable Dominion. The Voidborn representative observed the display with its fluid features showing no discernible emotion. The Hexen are irrelevant, a symptom, not the disease. The harvesters corrupted their leadership generations ago. What? Novak demanded. But further conversation was interrupted as Ambassador Tulra's transmission came through. Director Novak, you must not trust the Voidborn. They are manipulators, gatherers of species and technology. They claim to preserve, but they collect civilizations like specimens. The Voidborn's liquid metal face rippled in what might have been amusement. The Council fears what it does not understand. We have preserved thousands of species that would otherwise be extinct. We offer the same to humanity. Reyes leaned close to Novak. We're being pulled into something much bigger than an invasion. These are ancient conflicts we barely understand. Novak nodded slightly. And we have about 10 minutes before the Hexen arrive to complicate things further. She turned to communications. Connect me to all Earth Defense Forces and Council vessels. When the channel opened, she spoke with the clear authority that had made her Earth's de facto leader in this crisis. All vessels, this is Director Novak. We face an imminent Hexen attack with overwhelming numbers. Whatever disputes exist between the Council and the Voidborn, we can address them after we survive this assault. I propose a temporary three-way alliance. Ambassador Tulra's luminous form dimmed slightly. The Council will stand with Earth. The Voidborn representative's liquid face formed what might have been a smile. We will share our shield harmonics. Hexen weapons will be significantly less effective. Transfer the data, Novak ordered. All Earth vessels, implement the shield modifications immediately. Council vessels, I suggest you do the same. As the defensive preparations continued, the tactical situation grew clearer. The Hexen fleet was approaching in a formation designed for a single devastating alpha strike. They intended to overwhelm Earth's defenses in one massive assault. They learned from their first defeat, Reyes observed. No gradual deployment this time. Novak studied the Hexen formation, then turned to Fleet Commander Torres. Prepare the Phantom Fleet for Ghost Protocol. Torres looked surprised. Director, that maneuver hasn't been tested outside simulations. Today it gets a field test, Novak replied grimly. As the Hexen fleet entered the outer solar system, Earth's defenders executed a series of coordinated jumps that scattered their vessels throughout the enemy formation. Using modified cloaking technology, the human ships became partially phase-shifted, visible but unable to be targeted by conventional weapons. The Hexen commanders, expecting a standard defensive perimeter, found their formation suddenly infiltrated by enemy vessels that their targeting systems couldn't lock onto. Admiral Reyes watched with grim satisfaction as the first phase of the counterattack unfolded. All vessels, execute Ghost Strike on my mark. 3-2-1 mark. Throughout the Hexen fleet, Earth's vessels simultaneously decloaked and fired at point-blank range. Hundreds of enemy ships erupted in silent explosions before they could respond. Aboard the inevitable Dominion, the Hexen Emperor, a massive, ancient version of the species with gold-flecked scales and ceremonial battle armor, watched in rage as a third of his fleet was destroyed in the opening moments of battle. Impossible! He roared, "How are they doing this?" His tactical officer struggled to explain. Majesty, they appear to be using some form of phase shift technology combined with targeted EMP pulses that disable our systems before striking. Counter it, the Emperor demanded. We cannot, the officer admitted. Our systems are not designed to. The Emperor cut him off with a gesture. Then we used the Void Cleaver. A hushed silence fell over the bridge. The Void Cleaver was a super weapon of last resort, capable of creating a limited artificial black hole. Its use had been forbidden by Imperial decree after it destroyed an entire inhabited system during the last Hegemony War. Majesty, there are Voidborn vessels in the system, the tactical officer warned. The cleaver was ineffective against them in the Andromeda campaign. The Emperor's four eyes narrowed. Target Earth directly. Let us see how these humans fight when their homeworld is reduced to cosmic dust. On the Nemesis, alarms blared as sensors detected a massive energy buildup within the Emperor's flagship. They're charging some kind of superweapon, Lieutenant Morgan reported. Energy readings are off the charts. The Voidborn representative's liquid features rippled with what might have been concern. They deploy a singularity weapon. Your defenses will not withstand it. Can you counter it? Novak demanded. Not directly, the Voidborn admitted. But we can offer an alternative. From the largest Voidborn vessel, a strange device was launched toward the Nemesis, a sphere of what appeared to be the same liquid metal as the Voidborn themselves. This is a Nexus key, the representative explained. It will temporarily link your vessel's power systems to our dimensional anchor. For approximately 30 seconds, your weapons will draw energy directly from subspace. Reyes looked to Novak, who nodded sharply. Deploy the key to the Spear of Dawn, she ordered. As the Hexen Dreadnought superweapon reached critical charge, engineers aboard the Nemesis integrated the alien device into Earth's most powerful weapon. The spear, already formidable, began to pulse with new energy as it drew power from dimensions beyond normal space. Targeting solution locked, Torres reported. The Voidborn data suggests their flagship's shields have a harmonic vulnerability at 15.8 terahertz. Fire, Novak ordered. The enhanced Spear of Dawn discharged, not the white beam of its previous deployment, but a prismatic lance of energy that bent space itself around it. When it struck the inevitable Dominion, the massive dreadnought didn't explode or disintegrate. Instead, it seemed to fold inward, collapsing layer by layer until nothing remained but scattered debris. Throughout the system, the Hexan fleet faltered as their command structure collapsed. What had been an overwhelming force became a disorganized mass, vulnerable to the coordinated attacks of the Human Council Voidborn Alliance. As the remaining Hexan vessels began a chaotic retreat, Novak turned to the view screen where both Ambassador Tulra and the Voidborn representative watched. Now, she said firmly, perhaps you can both explain exactly what humanity has stumbled into. What are these harvesters? Why do you, she nodded to Tulra, fear them, and you, she turned to the Voidborn, claim to fight them? And most importantly, why should Earth involve itself in your ancient conflicts when we've barely established our place among the stars? The two ancient beings regarded each other across the digital divide, millennia of distrust evident in their silence. The fate of humanity and perhaps the galaxy would depend on what came next. The observation deck of the Nemesis offered a panoramic view of the Perseus transit, a swirling vortex of energy that connected the Milky Way to another galaxy. Director Novak stood silently, watching as the anomaly pulsed with increasing intensity. Each flare of energy registered on the ship's sensors as the barrier between galaxies grew thinner. 2 weeks had passed since the defeat of the Hexan Emperor's armada. 2 weeks of tense negotiations between the Galactic Council, the Voidborn, and Earth's unified government. Now, as the transit's activity reached critical levels, the three factions gathered to face a common enemy. How long? Admiral Reyes asked, joining Novak at the viewport. The Voidborn's calculations suggest less than 6 hours, she replied. The harvesters are coming, Victor. Behind them, the observation deck had been transformed into a war room. Representatives from the Council and Voidborn worked alongside Earth's military strategists, finalizing defensive plans. Despite their ancient distrust, the two alien factions had reached an uneasy cooperation in the face of extinction. Ambassador Tulra's luminous form approached. Director, our long-range sensors have detected the first Harvester scout ships emerging from the transit. On the main tactical display, blurry images appeared of biomechanical constructs, massive vessels that resembled insects made of dark metal, with legs extending for kilometers and carapaces that seemed to absorb light. Those are just scouts? Reyes asked incredulously. The Voidborn representative's liquid metal face shifted in what might have been grim confirmation. The harvesters send advance elements to assess resistance. The true threat follows. Novak studied the images, her expression unreadable. How many species have fallen to them? In total? In this galaxy alone? The Voidborn's features rippled. 417 civilizations completely eradicated. Thousands more reduced to pre-industrial states. The harvesters do not merely conquer. They harvest technology, knowledge, genetic material. They incorporate what they find useful and discard the rest. And your solution is preservation? Novak pressed. Collecting specimens of doomed species? We preserve what would otherwise be lost forever, the Voidborn countered. For millions of years, we have maintained archives of extinct civilizations, their art, their knowledge, their genetic legacy. Ambassador Tulra's light patterns flashed with what might have been anger. You keep them as curiosities in your cosmic museum. That is not preservation, it is collection. Novak raised a hand, silencing the brewing argument. What matters now is stopping the harvesters. Can it be done? Both ancient beings fell silent. In 17 cycles, the Voidborn finally admitted, no civilization has succeeded. The combined might of the entire council at its height could only delay them, Tulra added. Novak turned back to the viewport, watching the transit pulse with increasing violence. Then we don't fight them conventionally. All eyes turned to her. The transit is the key, she continued. It's their only way into our galaxy, correct? The Voidborn representative's liquid features rippled in what might have been surprise. Correct. The energy requirements to travel between galaxies without a transit would be prohibitive. even for the harvesters. Then we close the door, Novak said simply. Admiral Reyes understood immediately. The Spear of Dawn coupled with the Voidborn's Nexus key. Novak nodded. Not as a weapon against their ships, but against the transit itself. The war room erupted in discussion. Council scientists argued the impossibility of destabilizing a cosmic anomaly as ancient and powerful as the transit. Voidborn representatives countered with theoretical models supporting Novak's proposal. As the debate raged, Lieutenant Morgan interrupted with an urgent report. Director! The Harvester Scouts have changed course. They're heading directly for Earth. The tactical display updated, showing the insectoid vessels accelerating toward the solar system. Behind them, more shapes were emerging from the transit, larger, darker, radiating power that distorted the very space around them. They've identified Earth as the primary threat, the Voidborn representative observed. Your victory over the Hexen has drawn their attention. Novak's decision was immediate. Admiral Reyes, deploy the fleet to intercept the scouts. Buy us time. I'll take the Nemesis to the transit. The Nemesis alone won't survive proximity to the transit when it's this active, Ambassador Tulra warned. Then provide escort vessels, Novak countered. And your Nexus key technology, she added to the Voidborn representative. This works only if we cooperate. Within the hour, an unprecedented alliance was formed. The Nemesis, Earth's most advanced vessel, proceeded toward the Perseus transit flanked by 5 Council warships and 3 Voidborn organic cruisers. Behind them, the combined fleet of humanity and their alien allies moved to intercept the approaching Harvester Scouts. Aboard the Nemesis, Director Novak oversaw final preparations for what might be a suicide mission. The Spear is modified and ready, Chief Engineer Abrams reported. With the Voidborn enhancements, we're showing power levels 300% above previous maximum. Will it be enough? Novak asked. Abrams shrugged. To collapse a stable wormhole between galaxies? This is beyond theoretical physics, Director. We're making this up as we go. As the Nemesis approached the transit, the full scale of the anomaly became apparent. What had appeared as a swirling vortex from a distance revealed itself as a tear in the very fabric of space-time, pulsing with energies that made the ship's sensors fluctuate wildly. We're receiving a transmission, Communications Officer Rivera reported with surprise. It's from the Harvesters. The main view screen flickered, displaying a being that defied easy description, part machine, part organic matter, with multiple eyes that seemed to look in different directions simultaneously. When it spoke, the translation matrix struggled to convert its language. Humans. Unexpected resistance. Interesting specimens. Submit for processing. Novak stood facing the alien monstrosity without flinching. We are not specimens. We are not yours to harvest. This is our galaxy and you are not welcome here. The Harvester's response was immediate. The scouts accelerated, weapons charging. Behind them, 3 massive motherships fully emerged from the transit, each one dwarfing even the Hexen Emperor's dreadnought. All vessels, execute attack pattern Delta, Admiral Reyes ordered from the fleet's position. Concentrate fire on their propulsion systems. The battle erupted across the void between Earth and the transit. Human ingenuity, Council technology, and Voidborn biological weapons combined against the overwhelming power of the Harvesters. Despite their alliance's efforts, it quickly became clear that they were outmatched. We've lost 15 vessels already, Reyes reported grimly to the Nemesis. Their adaptive shielding neutralizes our weapons after just a few hits. We can slow them but not stop them. Novak turned to the view screen where both Tulra and the Voidborn representative watched. It's now or never. We need to close the transit. The calculations are complete, the Voidborn confirmed. But the energy required? Your ship will not survive the backlash. Understood, Novak replied calmly. Begin evacuation procedures. I'll remain to ensure the Spear fires correctly. Admiral Reyes's voice cut through the comm. Ilara, no. There has to be another way. There isn't, she replied simply, and we're out of time. As the Nemesis's crew evacuated to the escort vessels, Novak took manual control of the Spear of Dawn. The enhanced weapon hummed with power that made the entire ship vibrate. Targeting. Solution locked on the transit's central node, she reported to the Allied fleet now, retreating to a safe distance. Firing in 3, 2, 1, the enhanced spear discharged. Not a beam this time, but a concentrated sphere of energy that expanded as it approached the transit. When it struck the cosmic anomaly, space itself seemed to fold and twist. The transit's swirling energies convulsed, then began to collapse inward. On the Harvester motherships, alarms blared as sensors detected the destabilization of their only route home. They turned from the human fleet, desperately attempting to return through the transit before it closed. Too late. The transit collapsed with a final, violent burst of energy that swept across space like a tsunami. The Harvester vessels caught in the blast simply ceased to exist, erased from reality itself. The Nemesis, positioned too close to escape, tumbled end over end as the shockwave hit. On the bridge, Director Novak held on as systems failed around her. Through the viewport, she watched as the Perseus transit, a cosmic feature that had existed for millions of years, folded in upon itself and vanished. Against all odds, the Nemesis survived, barely. Its hull breached in 17 places, life support failing. The ship drifted in the void until Council vessels could reach it. Admiral Reyes was the first to board, finding Novak injured but alive on the ruined bridge. "We did it," she said simply as medical teams rushed to stabilize her. 3 months later, a formal alliance was signed in Geneva between Earth, the Galactic Council, and the Voidborn Collective. The Harvester threat had been eliminated, in this galaxy at least, and humanity had proven itself not merely a species to be preserved or protected, but one capable of changing the very rules of an ancient cosmic game. As the first human ambassador to the greater galactic community, Ilara Novak often reflected on how quickly everything had changed. From a planet believing itself alone in the universe to the architects of an unprecedented alliance in mere weeks. The Hexan Empire, leaderless after their emperor's defeat, had fractured into competing factions. The Council, revitalized by human innovation, began reforming its ossified structures. And the Voidborn, for the first time in their ancient existence, found themselves thinking of partnership rather than preservation. Earth's war fleet had turned the tide in seconds, and in doing so, reshaped the destiny of galaxies.